My name is Kathleen, and the moment I stepped into that glittering Seattle ballroom, I knew I was walking into a trap. The crystal chandelier above cast rainbows across my sister Raven's wedding, her silk gown catching every light like she was the only star in the room. I clutched my husband Peter's hand, my heart pounding as I scanned the crowd. 200 of Seattle's elite, sipping champagne worth more than my car. My daughter Elsa, 7 and wide-eyed in her lavender dress, tugged at my sleeve, oblivious to the storm brewing. I shouldn't have come. Not after what my family did to me years ago. But when the invitation didn't arrive, something in me snapped. I needed to see Raven, to face the sister who'd built her perfect life on the ruins of mine. The string quartet swelled, and Raven glided down the aisle, her fiancé Nathan waiting at the altar. My mother's icy glare found me from the front row, her lips thinning into a line that screamed disgrace. Whispers slithered through the crowd. "Can you believe she showed up?" A woman hissed, loud enough to sting. "After what she did to the clinic." I sank lower in my seat, the weight of their judgment pressing against my chest. Elsa's small hand tightened in mine, and Peter's steady presence kept me from bolting. Years ago, my family ran one of Seattle's top medical clinics, a shining beacon of care, or so they claimed. I was a medical student, working alongside my father, learning the ropes, dreaming of saving lives. Then it all collapsed. They accused me of stealing money meant for patients, branded me a thief, and cut me out of their lives. My father's words still echo. "You're dead to us." I lost everything. My career, my family, my future. Peter, a journalist I met while picking up the pieces, helped me rebuild. We have Elsa now, our light in the dark. But the scars remain, and showing up here was my way of proving I wasn't invisible. The officiant's voice broke through my thoughts. "If anyone objects to this union, speak now or forever hold your peace." Before I could blink, my mother stood, her designer heels clicking like gunshots on the marble floor. "I'm sorry, everyone," she said, her voice slicing through the hush, "but we have an uninvited guest who must leave." Every head turned. My stomach dropped as her eyes locked on mine. "Kathleen, you were told you're not welcome at family events." Elsa shrank against me, whispering, "Mommy, why is Grandma mad?" Raven's lips curved into a cruel smile from the altar. "Security, please escort my former sister out," she said. "She's trying to ruin my day, as always." The words hit like a slap. "Former sister." Elsa's voice cracked. "Aunt Raven?" Raven's gaze didn't soften. "I'm not your aunt, sweetheart. Your mom lost that right when she betrayed us." 2 security guards appeared, their faces blank but firm. Peter stood, shielding us. "We're leaving. No need for this." My mother's voice dripped venom. "Using a child to manipulate us? You haven't changed, Kathleen." My cheeks burned as we shuffled past staring guests, their whispers like knives. Always the troubled one. Such a shame. At the ballroom doors, I turned, my voice steady despite the ache in my chest. "Congratulations, Raven. I hope your marriage is built on more honesty than your life." Her smile flickered, just for a second, and that tiny crack fueled me. In the lobby, Elsa burst into tears. "Why don't they love us, Mommy?" I knelt, pulling her close, meeting Peter's worried eyes over her head. "Some people, sweetheart, don't know how to love right," I said, stroking her hair. "But we're going to change that." Inside, something hardened. For years, I'd swallowed their lies, let them paint me as the villain. But seeing my daughter cry, that was the line they shouldn't have crossed. They wanted to play games with my family? Fine. I'd show them what happens when you push a cornered mother too far. The drive home from Raven's wedding felt like wading through quicksand. Elsa slept in the back seat, her tear-streaked cheeks glowing under passing streetlights. Peter's knuckles were white on the steering wheel, his silence louder than words. My phone buzzed endlessly, social media posts about the wedding scene, calling me the disgraced sister. Peter finally spoke, his voice low. "You shouldn't have gone, Kathleen. We knew how this would end." "They made Elsa cry," I snapped, tracing my phone screen. "Our daughter, Peter." He took the exit to our quiet Seattle suburb, his jaw tight. "And whose fault is that? You wanted this fight." His words stung because they weren't entirely wrong. I'd gone to that wedding to prove a point, to show I wasn't the ghost they'd made me. But I hadn't expected them to turn on Elsa. "Pull over," I said. He guided the car into an empty lot near a shuttered diner, the neon sign flickering faintly. I stepped out, the cool night air hitting my flushed skin. Pacing between faded parking lines, I tried to breathe through the rage. Peter followed, his voice softer. "What's really going on, Kathleen? You've been different since the invitation didn't come." I laughed, the sound sharp and bitter. "Did you see Raven's face? The way she smirked, calling me her former sister? She's built her whole life on lies. You know what she told everyone about why I was disowned?" He waited, his eyes searching mine. "She said I stole from the clinic, embezzled patient funds. And now she's working there, right beside my father, probably laughing about it." Peter stepped closer, concern etching his face. "You never wanted to talk about this before. Why now?" My phone buzzed, a text from an unknown number. "I know what happened at the clinic. Meet me tomorrow, 2 p.m., Pike Place Coffee." I showed Peter the message. His expression darkened. This could be a trap. "Your family's already shown what they're capable of. They humiliated Elsa," I said, my voice steady. "Made her feel like she's nothing. This is about truth, not revenge." He ran a hand through his hair, a gesture I knew from years of marriage. "What's the plan, Kathleen?" "Nothing yet," I admitted, meeting his gaze. "But if someone's ready to talk, I'm listening. Are you with me? Really with me?" He studied me, then nodded. "I'm with you. But we do this smart. No more rushing in blind." I glanced at Elsa, still asleep in the car, her small form a reminder of why this mattered. "Tomorrow, come with me to the coffee shop. Watch from a distance. Make sure it's safe." "Always," he said, pulling me into a hug. "But promise me we protect Elsa first." "Always," I echoed, my resolve hardening. They thought they could shame me into silence again. Instead, they'd lit a fuse. The next afternoon, Pike Place Coffee hummed with Seattle's usual crowd, tourists snapping photos, locals grabbing lattes. I spotted Aisha, the clinic's former accountant, in a corner, her fingers twitching as she closed her laptop. Peter gave me a nod from the counter, his eyes scanning the room. I slid into the seat across from Aisha. "I wasn't sure you'd come," she said, her voice low. "It's been years. Why now?" I asked, keeping my tone neutral despite my racing pulse. She glanced around, nervous. "Your sister's wedding was all over the news. When I saw what they did to you," she slid a USB drive across the table. "You need to see this." The drive felt like a brick in my hand. "What's on it?" "Financial records from the clinic," Aisha whispered. "Your father didn't just frame you for embezzlement, Kathleen. He covered up Raven's mistakes, big ones." My coffee arrived, Peter's subtle way of staying close. Aisha flinched as the barista approached. "There was a patient death," she continued once we were alone. "A woman with cancer, given the wrong treatment. Raven wasn't qualified, hadn't finished medical school. Your father buried it, paid off the family, and used the money he accused you of stealing." The cup rattled as I set it down. "You have proof?" "Everything's on that drive," Aisha said. "Including proof Raven's credentials are fake. She's been practicing medicine illegally." My throat tightened. "Why didn't you speak up back then?" She looked away, shame in her eyes. "My daughter was sick. I needed the job, the insurance. Your father threatened us. But she's better now. And after the wedding," my phone buzzed. A text from Raven. "Having coffee with anyone interesting?" I froze, glancing out the window. Nathan's car idled across the street. "They're watching me," I said, showing Aisha the text. Her face paled. "I shouldn't have come." She started to stand, but I grabbed her arm. "Let Peter drive you home," I said as he appeared, reading the situation. As they left, I texted Raven back. "Just catching up with old friends. How's married life?" Her reply was instant. "Stay away from Aisha. Some stories should stay buried." Another text followed, this time from my father. "My office, 1 hour. Come alone, or Aisha pays." The threat was clear, but something new burned in me. Not fear, but anticipation. They'd drawn the battle lines. Time to show them I wasn't the scared girl they'd erased. I pushed through the glass doors of the family clinic, the sterile smell of antiseptic hitting me like a memory. My father's secretary tried to stop me, but I brushed past, storming into his office. He sat behind his mahogany desk, Raven at his side, her usual confidence wavering. "That was quick," Raven said, but her voice lacked its usual bite. "Enough games," I said, facing my father. "You want to threaten Aisha? Fine. But first, explain how many patients Raven killed." His face paled, but he recovered quickly. "You've lost your mind, Kathleen." "Really?" I pulled out my phone, playing a snippet of Aisha's recorded confession. "Raven administered the wrong dosage. Your father buried it." Raven lunged for the phone, but I sidestepped. "Wonder what the medical board would think." "You're bluffing," Raven snapped, but her eyes betrayed panic. "Try me." I met my father's gaze. "You framed me for theft, erased me from the family, all to protect her mistakes." "I did what was necessary," he said, his voice cold as steel. "Raven had potential. You were always difficult." "Difficult?" I laughed, the sound sharp enough to make them flinch. I was the only one telling the truth. I moved toward the door, pausing. "I have proof now. And this time, I'm not the one who'll disappear." Their protests faded as I stepped into the hall, the USB drive heavy in my pocket. That night, my laptop screen glowed with the drive's contents: financial records, falsified credentials, patient files. An email between my parents made my hands shake. They'd known about 3 other patient deaths, all covered up as equipment failures. Peter paced behind me, his face grim. "They're monsters, Kathleen." The doorbell rang. Through the window, I saw Nathan's car in our driveway. "Let me handle this," I said, stopping Peter. Nathan stood in our kitchen, his tie loose, eyes hollow. "Brooke told me what you have," he said. "The medical board contacted me about Raven's credentials. I've been reviewing clinic records, and I have evidence too." "Then why are you here?" I asked, keeping my voice steady. "They're offering you money to disappear," he said. "Take it. Start fresh. There are good people at the clinic who were just following orders." My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. "Your daughter's school received a tip about abuse. CPS notified." The room spun. "They're threatening Elsa," I said, my voice like ice. Nathan's face crumpled. "They're desperate. They'll do anything to keep this quiet." Peter appeared in the doorway. "You need to leave. Tell Raven and my parents I said they just made their biggest mistake." After Nathan left, Peter held me as I shook with rage. "We need to move fast," he said. "If they're targeting Elsa, we're not running," I cut in, my mind sharpening. "Call your sister at the newspaper. It's time the world knew who they really are." I dialed Aisha. "Upload everything," I told her. "Every file, every record." "Eden, they're here," she whispered. "Police with a warrant." "Trust me," I said, hanging up. I turned to Peter. "Get Elsa from school. Then call every reporter your sister knows. In an hour, this clinic is breaking news." He studied me. No turning back. I thought of Elsa's tears, Aisha's courage, the patients who died. "They chose this fight," I said. "I'm just making sure they lose." Hours later, I got the call. Aisha was dead. "A car accident," they said. "Suicide." My hands gripped the phone so hard it hurt. Peter's voice was low. "The evidence she uploaded. Most of it's corrupted. They got to the servers." Of course they did. But they forgot one thing. I'd learned from them how to play dirty. And I wasn't done yet. The clinic's annual charity gala sparkled under Seattle's skyline, a facade of goodwill hiding decades of lies. Raven and I moved through the crowd separately, our plan in place. My parents worked the room, all smiles, as if they hadn't tried to have me killed days ago. A board member grabbed my arm. "Kathleen, didn't expect you here after everything." I smiled, channeling my mother's polished charm. "Wouldn't miss it." Across the room, Raven signaled from the AV booth. Peter's lawyer had called earlier. His charges were dropped, the fraud traced back to my father's accounts. My father took the podium. "Tonight, we celebrate 30 years of serving Seattle," he began. The lights dimmed for a video, but instead of the clinic's highlights, security footage filled the screen. My father counting cash, my mother threatening Aisha, patient records being altered. Gasps rippled through the crowd. "Turn it off." My mother shrieked, but Raven barred the AV booth door.
Why?
I stepped forward, my voice cutting through the chaos. Isn't this what we're celebrating? 30 years of fraud, corruption, and murder? Security. My father bellowed, but the officers I'd hired stood firm. "They work for me tonight," I said, moving closer. "Just like the investigators tracking your bribes, the accountants tracing your accounts, the lawyers building cases for every family you've destroyed." My mother lunged, her composure shattering. "You ungrateful." "Careful," Raven emerged, her voice steady. "Tell them about the 2011 patient death. The one you blamed on equipment failure. Except it was you, covering up your mistake." My father froze. "You knew," my mother whispered, her eyes on Raven. "I found the real records," Raven said, her hands trembling. "The ones you kept to blackmail the manufacturer. You never protected me because you loved me. You needed me under your control." Police entered the ballroom, real ones this time. My father shoved me aside, bolting for the exit, but Nathan tripped him. Handcuffs clicked as the detective read his rights. "Mark, you're charged with conspiracy to commit murder, fraud." My mother screamed, fighting her arrest, but I wasn't listening. I watched their perfect world collapse, their mask shattered. Raven touched my arm. "You okay?" "No," I said, watching my mother being led away. "But I will be." The courtroom was quiet after the verdict. 25 years for my father, 18 for my mother. Cold, precise numbers for a lifetime of lies. I sat still, watching them led away, neither glancing at the daughters they'd broken. Outside, reporters swarmed, but Peter shielded Elsa, while Nathan handled the press. Elsa's hand found mine, anchoring me. "Aunt Raven says we're moving to the big house with the garden," Elsa said as we walked to the car. I exchanged a glance with Raven. The family estate, bought with dirty money, would now be a recovery center for victims of medical malpractice. But first, we drove to Aisha's grave. Fresh flowers rested against the headstone, a note from her daughter reading, "Justice for Mom." "I keep thinking," Raven said quietly, "about all the times we could have chosen differently. Helped each other instead of becoming their weapons." I nodded. We were kids, shaped by their lies. But not anymore. Elsa placed a dandelion on the grave, simple and pure. Back home, Peter reviewed clinic files. "The board approved the restructuring," he said. "We can take new cases next month. And the trust fund for victims' families is set." I sank into a chair. I thought revenge would feel like winning. Instead, it feels heavy. A noise from the hall. Raven and Nathan stood there, holding a manila envelope. "The contractor found this in Father's office," Nathan said. "Hidden compartment." Inside were photos Raven and me as kids, laughing, linked arm in arm. "He kept them," Raven whispered. "Proof we were once real." Before they turned us into their lies, I finished. Elsa called from downstairs. "Mom, Aunt Raven, the ice cream's melting." We shared a look, understanding passing between us. We couldn't reclaim those girls in the photos, but we could protect Elsa from similar scars. In the kitchen, Elsa directed an ice cream sundae assembly line, giggling as Raven got chocolate sauce on her blouse. Peter snapped photos and I joined them, taking the sticky spoon Elsa offered. This was my victory. Not the courtroom, not the headlines, but this, a family built on choice, love freely given. My parents' unopened letter and ring sat in a drawer, their power fading with each laugh, each real moment. To everyone watching, thank you for staying with me through this story. It's not just mine. It's for anyone who's fought to reclaim their truth, to build something real from betrayal's ashes. Keep fighting. The sweetest revenge is living well, surrounded by love the monsters in our lives could never understand.